You are traveling through another dimension. A dimension of movies, cartoons, TV, tabletop, anime, toys, and conventions. A journey into a wondrous land where childhood never ends. Your next stop, the Pop Culture Zone. Sponsored by Local Touch Online, a free online magazine that has an exclusive article by Pop Culture Geekery every month. Texas Gamers Lounge in Austin and San Marcos is adapting to these trying times by changing their business model. Their companion company, arcadesforhome.com, will continue to offer arcade cabinets for purchase. They can repair them, and they can also move them. They will still have some online tournaments that you can enter, so go to texasgamerslounge.com to find out what the latest tournament is. Hello, and welcome to another episode of Pop Culture Geekery. I'm Joe Solis, and tonight we're going to do something a little bit different, as you saw by the title of this video. So, to say that we are in some interesting times across the world right now is a severe understatement. I realize that. But I want to let you guys know that we have been following all the instructions that have been given in our area, keeping safe, and I hope all of you are as well. But we didn't want to stop doing the show. And since for the most part it's just me. Of course, my wife does help me sometimes, but I do have a lot of friends who help with the show as well. And thank you so much to all of you who have been part of Pop Culture Geekery since the beginning and have had a chance to come on as a guest host, or if you've come on several times. That's part of what makes this fun. But, another aspect of pop culture that I wanted to bring to y'all's attention is I feel that it is important because there are a lot of great stories that are involved in pop culture throughout all the different aspects. That's one of the things I've always liked about it, is that it's not just one genre or one type of story. There's so many to pull from. And so you will find a lot of great lessons in pop culture. And so one of the ones that came to mind after all the things that I saw this week in online and across the internet was one of the staples of pop culture that is underlying, I feel, in a lot of projects, even if people don't really talk about it as much anymore, is the original Twilight Zone, which aired from 1959 all the way to 1964. Was created by Rod Serling. So for those of you who don't know, basically it was just a series of stories that he presented, and they were always, sci-fi or fantasy in nature, and they always had some sort of underlying theme or message or lesson to be learned, especially from the time period that they were being released, which was during the height of the Cold War. Which of course was, the fight against communism back then. And so a lot of his stories definitely are relevant to that, but you will find as you watch them today, a lot of the lessons he went over are still very much relevant in today's society, even though we're talking, 50 plus years ago. So one that came to mind for this week that I thought would be important to share with y'all, and hopefully you'll take to heart the lesson of this episode. Obviously, I'm just going to go over it because I don't want to get copyrighted. So I'll show you images from the episode and I'll talk about the overall idea of the episode. But I hope that you will seek it out somewhere and check it out for yourselves. But the episode I'm talking about is from season 3. And it's titled The Shelter. It originally aired on September 29th of 1961. So basically, a local doctor is having a birthday party. Apparently, the whole neighborhood knows him. They're just having a grand old time. I thought it was hilarious because the doctor's actually smoking the whole time that they're talking about him and congratulating him on his good work. During the conversation, they casually mention how he has been building a bomb shelter during all these years there in the neighborhood, because he, like a lot of people in real life America at the time, were afraid of, a genuine nuclear holocaust. So people, were building shelters and stockpiling. Sound familiar? Just getting ready for the worst, basically. So in the middle of the party, the radio comes on and lets them know that there's some UFOs in the area, and no, they're not talking about aliens. They literally mean unidentified flying objects, which, for them, they equate that with nuclear missiles are headed our way. So the party, of course, is scattered, and the family, the doctor's family that we're focusing on, they descend into this shelter that he's been building, and it's just him, his wife, and his son. They cover so much in such, less than a 30-minute episode, but they touch on the wife's fears about why should we even survive in a world that's decimated, and he references their 12-year-old son and how that's the reason that we should survive, so he can have a chance to build a world beyond this destruction. So a lot of deep messages, and that's just the beginning. So of course all the neighbors start showing up because they had not prepared for this, and so they were wanting him to let them in the shelter. But the thing is, he designed it for just him and his family. It had enough food and water just specifically for them three, and so he knew that if he added more people, he would basically cut the rations down the more people he added. I was surprised to see, I knew I recognized his voice at first, but actually, for those of you who have seen Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, good old Grandpa Joe is in this. He plays one of the neighbors, and he actually ends up being kind of the voice of reason as things get out of control. Basically, the episode, I realized, is kind of like a twisted version of the old story of Chicken Little, where Chicken Little was preparing for the winter and told people the sky was falling and nobody listened. And of course, at the end, they all wanted what he had or she had. This is a much more dramatic retelling of that type of story. Of course, the neighbors, start fighting to get in the shelter. The doctor's already sealed in. One of my favorite quotes that one of the neighbors yells out is, "You're a doctor, you're supposed to help people." And I mean, that, makes the doctor, question, and he's constantly questioning this whole time, but he's not opening the door. And, even the group of neighbors, it's about 3 or 4 families, they start arguing amongst themselves of, who's the most worthy to actually go in the shelter if he doesn't have enough room for everybody. And this is where Grandpa Joe steps in and starts, being the voice of reason, talking about this mob mentality that they are forming. Rod Serling had a lot of things he would throw into episodes. He even gets a little bit of a lesson about racism in here, because in real life, the Cuban Missile Crisis happens a year after this episode aired. And there's actually a Hispanic guy in this that one of the neighbors yells at him and tells him something like, because of you, people caused this, or something like that, which I took to mean that he was, referring to Cubans, I guess. I don't know. But I got the gist of what the allusion was to. Wrapping it up, the radio comes back, lets them all know that it was a false alarm, and now they're left with this horrible thing that happened. I forgot to mention, they actually broke into the bomb shelter, which my wife commented was a very poor door if they could ram it open. But they're all standing there in shock. The doctor slowly comes out, and the apologies start. The one gentleman tries to apologize to the Hispanic gentleman, and then Grandpa Joe talks about, now's our time to try to return to normalcy. But the doctor makes a brilliant comment about, the bombs, there was no bombs to cause any damage, but he feels like the damage was done anyway. And so that was a pretty powerful message there, to where basically people were shown at their worst during a time of need. And so, you know, guys, you know, this episode's come to mind for a lot of different things that I've seen in my life, but especially the things that I've seen this week. You know, I just wanted to share this with y'all because, again, if you get a chance to watch the episode, of course it's more impactful if you watch it, but, you know, please be kind to each other right now. This is an unprecedented event that we're all having to deal with. And, you know, this is the time that, you know, we got to help each other out. And I feel like there's a lot of other YouTubers saying it, a lot of other people saying it. The more we hear it, I hope the more it sinks in. I mean, if you've already gone out and prepared, you know, check on your neighbors, check on your family and friends, especially the elderly. You know, this is the time for us to step up and for, again, you know, bringing it back to pop culture, all the stories of heroism and people going out of their way, going beyond, above and beyond. I mean, this is the time, guys. You know, so I just wanted to share this with you, you know, hopefully implore you to, you know, to really, you know, let logic be your guide on this, and just, you know, go out and do the right thing. So, you know, we're going to continue to give you more content as we're going. I'm going to try to stick to the at least once a week video. So I got plenty of videos to put out there. So again, thanks to those of you who have followed so far. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the bell notification so that way you'll get a notification when a video pops up. Remember, views and subscriptions do help all the channels on YouTube, helps them grow. So thanks for all of you who have supported us so far. Follow us on all our different social medias, which will be listed below. And I will leave you with this wonderful quote by the creator of Twilight Zone, Rod Serling. Take care of yourselves, guys.